You're watching BCTV. We're all about Brantford. You're watching BCTV, Brantford Government Television, a service of Brantford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Brantford.
Okay, then we'll call this meeting of the Brantford Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Thursday, November 16th.
Recording in progress.
Thursday, November 16th, 2023. I have 7:03 p.m. I'll introduce members of the commission and staff. Commission member Joe Chadwick, are you here?
Joe Chadwick is present.
Thank you, Joe. Fred Russo. Fred, are you here?
Russo is present.
Marcy Pelusi. Marcy, are you here?
Marcy's here.
Massimo Liguri, are you here?
Massimo's here.
Thank you, Massimo. And I think absent this evening are Joe Viuzzo and Sharon Putner. Our staff this evening is our town planner, Harry Smith. Harry, you're here?
I am here.
And our assistant planner, Evan Brining. Evan, you're here?
Here.
Thanks, Evan. I'll ask our secretary to read our notices of public hearing. Fred, can you do that?
Yeah, there were no notices. Whatever public hearings we may hear have already been opened, and there was no need to announce it. I confirmed that with Michelle this afternoon, so there will be no public notices to be read.
Great, thank you, Chuck Andrews, Chair. Thank you, Fred.
Okay.
With that, then we'll explain our process for proceeding. We do have a couple of continued public hearings, which we will take place. And so the applicant will go first, make its presentation, including any comments from the owners, developers, consultants. After the applicant gets done, we turn it over to the commission staff, who typically have a summary of a staff report, and open it up to questions and comments from commission members. And then following that, we'll open it up to the public, and I'll ask Evan to explain that process for public participation when I'm done here. And we ask that you state your name for the record and make your comments. After we hear the public portion, we allow the applicant to respond to any of the public comments of the public portion, and we may have further questions and comments from commission members or staff. We may or may not close the public hearing depending on how it goes. Certainly not unusual to keep a public hearing on an item open over multiple meetings. With that, Evan, can you just explain to the public how the public can participate?
Sure. For those of us with a microphone for two-way communication on their computer, if you'd like to participate in the public hearing, down at the bottom of your screen, there's a reactions button. You can select that, and from there, press raise hand to indicate that you'd like to speak. You can also type into the chat that you'd like to comment or ask any questions. If you're dialing in by phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand, and we ask again that everybody please state their name at the beginning of their comment or question.
Chuck Andrews, Chair. Thank you, Evan. With that, we'll move to our first items. Items number 1, 2, and 3. All concern the same development proposal. The applicant is Cherry Hill Estates, LLC, 26 Cherry Hill Road. The applications concern a PDD master plan modification for multifamily residential development. Also a special exception modification and a PDD site plan modification. Again, this is the development on 26 Cherry Hill Road. We opened this public hearing quite a while ago, I believe in September, and it's been continued. There was some meetings scheduled with the Town Center Revitalization Board, and I believe that they have given a recommendation to us. And I also understand that the applicant has submitted a couple of letters, including a letter granting an extension of time. So I guess the first thing to see is the applicant here. Is there any representative of the applicant on this item? Evan and Harry, do you see anyone?
I do not. The only person I do not know on the call is a woman named Nancy. So I am going to assume she is not representing the application
Okay.
unless she raises her hand or puts her camera on and waves.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, this is a matter where, again, we had referred it to, we had an opening public hearing, there were some public comments. It was a modification of previous approvals. The project, I believe the development is occupied. There is some proceedings against the applicant. I believe they occupied it without, they started renting it without COs. And they requested some modifications of the proposal. There were a number of questions raised by the staff in the initial staff report. It was referred to the Town Center Review Board. And there was some, I believe the applicant wrote a letter to the board asking for some information, and he didn't decline to attend the last meeting. And the Town Center Review Board gave a recommendation that we deny the application. And then the applicant wrote a letter to us granting, I think Harry had pointed out that we have to close the public hearing, and the applicant granted an extension to our next meeting, which would be December 7th? Is that the next meeting?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And asked some further questions. So it's unfortunate the applicant is not here. I'm assuming that's a request that we continue the public hearing. My inclination is to, I know there's a number of issues that have been raised. My inclination is to grant the request because the applicant has requested this, raised a number of procedural questions and so forth. And I don't want this issue decided on procedural grounds, and I want to give the applicant every opportunity to address the questions that have been asked, including some in the original report. So my recommendation would be that we grant the extension if they're not here, and then the applicant can make any final comments at the next meeting, assuming that we're up for, I think that's it for extensions, right? Here.
Harrison Town Planner, yeah, the statute, state law provides for 100-day maximum period for the public hearing. So that's 35 days, typical, the usual, plus any portion up to a full 65-day extension. So it would be the 100 days. And we're going to max out a few days after the December 7th meeting.
Sure. Okay. Harry, did I miss anything? Is there anything you'd like to add to what I've said?
No. So the applicant in the letter, and I sent the commission the letter before the meeting, so you should have it in your emails. And the actual words are: the consent to a time extension and continue to the public hearing to the December 7th meeting of the commission. And I mean, I'm not going to summarize the letter. And I don't know if there's anything you'd like me to say about the letter at this point, but since the applicant's not here, maybe it's best to not say anything until the applicant's represented again.
Sure. No, I'm good with that. I know that, there are questions about criteria for regulations, and I know that there are criteria within our regulations that are for this village district review and so forth. But that's something that we can probably be good to have that discussion when the applicant is here. So is everyone okay then with continuing items number 1, 2, and 3 to our December 7th meeting? Hearing no objection, then I think we will continue these 3 items to our December 7th meeting. So those, if you're not, I didn't know, maybe I will say, give someone an opportunity. I don't know if there's any members of the public who would like to comment on this item. Again, we are continuing it to our December 7th meeting, but I don't know if you can't make that or so forth. Is there any member of the public that wish to comment? Let's see. There's a Nancy that wishes to comment, it looks like. go ahead. Or go ahead, Evan.
I don't want to, I'm one of the residents here, so I was hoping we were going to hear some more this week, but apparently not. So we'll
Sure.
see you in 2 weeks again.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, anyone else? I'll just throw it out there. Looks like,
No, she's already got off the call, but
okay, so she's.
well, it's actually 3 weeks now. So I was going to say that, but that's all right.
Right. Okay, okay then. So then items number 1, 2, and 3 these will be continued to our next meeting on December 7th. Again, also a remote Zoom meeting starting at 7 p.m. That brings into item number 4, which is Southview Island LLC. That's Bear Island, aka Big Curtis Island. It's a special exception coastal site plan for a new single-family home with detached guest bedrooms and an accessory structure. Is the applicant ready to proceed with that?
Oh, sorry, Jim.
Oh,
Harry, could you make him a co-host?
just did it. Sorry about that.
Thank you. I'm the only one here.
I'm off my game. What can I say?
Not a problem. Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering here at 420 East Main Street in Brantford, representing Southview Island LLC. I'm going to share my screen. So Bear Island is actually 4 lots. Southview Island LLC owns these 3, and this particular one is owned by somebody else. The project we're here for now is this island in the southwest corner of the property. There's an existing house here now, or at the time of the survey there was, and a shed and a little artist studio that they call a guest house, but there is no plumbing or electricity to it. And it's only about 350 square feet. What they want to do is replace the main house with what's essentially 3 bedrooms, but they have a designer from Finland actually that they're working with, and this has caused a little confusion with the health department and with the town, but the main house will only have 1 bedroom in it, and the other 2 bedrooms are actually pulled out, so that there's some privacy, and it's just the 2 bedrooms and bathrooms. There's no additional living space, but they'll be connected by decks. But you could see dashed under here the old house. We are pulling it back a little bit there and turning it. They are trying to get obviously the best views possible at this point of the island. New septic system. There is city water that actually comes in off one of the other lot, comes into the property on one of the other lots, and then gets distributed around the island. We did get local approval for the health department. We are waiting on state approval for the 2 separate connections. They need to sign off on it, but they've never not that I know of. What else? We do provide standard erosion controls. We have a stockpile here, and there is a dock here, an existing dock fixed with float at the end for access to the property. You can see here that we are pulling the existing deck kind of hung over some rock, and there were stairs that went down to the all the way down to the bottom. All that's coming out, and we are moving back a little bit. We are technically out of the flood zone here. And I could show you. So this is, again, this is a floor plan with the 1 bedroom and the 2 bedroom pulled out. Just to give you a sense for what so this is what the main building will look like. Very low. I believe this is only about 22 feet at the highest point. That's the other views of the main house, and then the guest bedrooms are here. This is what they look like. Again, very small structure, and roof line to match the other house. And that's it. It's a tear down rebuild, basically.
Thank you, Mr. Preddy. Evan, do you want to review the staff report?
Sorry about that. I was muted. Like Mr. Preddy had described for us, they're proposing to tear down the house and rebuild a new one. It's here before you today because it's a special exception for grading within 100 feet or 100 feet of a critical coastal resource, and it's also a site plan or a coastal site plan application. They meet the bulk requirements of the R5 district. I had asked for Mr. Preddy to confirm if this was going to be multiple units. He did tell me that there would be only one unit. I've added a finding to this approval that would just double down on that. I also had asked him to just confirm that with the average grades that the proposed accessory structure would not exceed 15 feet in height. I believe he did provide that on a revised site plan that was circulated to the commission. No lighting information was provided, but a condition has been added that would require compliance with section 6.7. They've added erosion control measures to the site. They meet the 1 to 3 earth slope requirement. The commission would need to find that the proposed soil and erosion control measures, to the extent that they are alternatives from the Connecticut Deep 2002 guidelines for soil erosion sediment control, are acceptable. Based on the application materials, the applicant satisfies the special exception criteria. They also satisfied the coastal site plan criteria. Comments from Deep were received November 15th, and they were circulated to the commission. Staff recommends 3 findings. The first is that the coastal site plan is consistent with the goals and policies of the Coastal Area Management Act. 2, that the commission finds that the proposed use is consistent with the special exception criteria. And 3, this approval exclusively applies to the proposed single-family residential use, and no additional units can be established at this address without further approvals from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Staff recommends the following conditions. Prior to the start of construction, erosion control measures shall be installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer, and as may be directed by the zoning enforcement officer, necessary measures to control any dust generated by fill brought into the site or movement of earth on the site shall be implemented. There wasn't actually an error in my staff report. I added half of a condition in there and I never completed it, so that was removed. And then the final condition is that any lighting has to be compliant with section 6.7.
Thank you, Chuck Anderson Chair. Thank you, Evan. Yeah, I saw the Deep comments and they appear to have no problem with this applications.
That's correct.
Any questions or comments from anyone before we, any commission member before we open up to the public? Hearing none, then let's open up the public. Maybe we can stop the screen share and go back to the regular screens.
No.
Any member of the public wish to comment?
I do not see anyone.
One more time, any member of the public wish to comment? You still don't see anyone, right, Evan? So, okay. So then I think we can close the public portion of this. Mr. Preddy, you have any further comments?
I do not. I think it's pretty straightforward. The lighting, obviously they would have, residential fixtures, but I will tell you that this particular line does not have public power. So any lighting they have is generated from solar or a generator. So it's not something that they would be putting big lights on. So.
Thank you. Any further comments from commission members or staff? Hearing none, then we can close this matter as a public hearing. This is something I think we can take up in a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Preddy. That brings us then, that's it for our public hearings. It brings us to our minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. The There's November 2nd and October 26th. Probably start with the earlier one. That was the October 26th special meeting. That was the discussion of the landscaping regulations. And those minutes were sent out to us. I don't know if you've had a chance to review those, and if so, does someone want to make an appropriate motion?
Fred Russo, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the October 26 minutes made by Fred. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second by Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred,
Fred Russo in favor.
Marcy Palucci,
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo,
Massimo's in favor.
Chair's also in favor, so those minutes are approved. The next set is the minutes from our November 2nd meeting. They were also sent out. So if you've had a chance to review those, does someone want to make an appropriate motion with respect to the November 2nd minutes?
Chadwick will make that motion.
Motion to approve by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Fred Russo will second that motion.
Second by Fred. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo,
Fred Russo's in favor.
Marcy Palucci,
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo,
Massimo's in favor.
and Chair is also in favor. So those minutes are approved. Why don't we then take up the public hearing item that we just heard, which is the Bear Island, Southview Island, Big Curtis Island, lots of names. The coastal site plan and special exception. And maybe Evan, you can pull up your staff report. Now, I know you just read those to us. So, and I think you indicated that, okay, that's 1A and B, and then 2, right, that for, you deleted one, that the printed version was an incomplete sentence. So it's really just two conditions, 1A and B, and then number 2, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, we have the motion displayed in front of us, also sent out. Someone make a motion, unless further comments, someone make a motion to approve the application by adopting the recommendations in the staff recommendation as to both the findings and the conditions of approval for this application.
Fred Russo makes a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Fred to adopt the staff recommendation and conditions. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second by Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo,
Fred Russo's in favor.
Marcy,
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo,
Massimo's in favor.
and the chair is also in favor, so that application is approved. That brings us into old business. Item number 1 of old business was the Wells Fargo Bank. And I understand that application has been withdrawn, maybe resubmitted at some point, but this one has been withdrawn. So that's off our agenda. The next item is Tara Knight, applicant and owner for 279 Linden Avenue. This is a coastal site plan, demo of an existing house and construction of a new single-family home. And is the applicant ready to proceed with that? And I guess, Evan, you can get rid of the staff report on that other one.
Sorry about that.
Good evening again, Jim Preddy, Criscolo Engineering, representing Tara Knight at 279 Linden Avenue. I will share my screen. Hopefully you all can see that. So there's an existing house on this lot, which is just under 4,300 square feet. It's a undersized lot. An existing house, which I believe is a 1-bedroom house, only 4 feet from this property line at this point here. And relatively flat lot. I mean, it's 7.4 to 6.4 going mostly across the lot. So it's very flat, picture toward the back, AEVE zone line here. What they're proposing is another tear down rebuild. Let me zoom in a little bit. They're proposing, and the scale's a little hard. The dashed line is the old house, so you can see they're proposing to center the house more or less in the property to honor the setback on the left side and increase this as much as possible. We are now, instead of 4 feet, we are 7 feet to the exterior stair, and the main part of the house is actually within the two side setbacks. So they tried very hard to kind of fit that in. This also will be a 1-bedroom house. Typical erosion controls, 2 parking spaces for 2 cars in the front. We did get the comments from DEP yesterday, I believe. There was comments about, because even though this is an AE flood zone, that we are waterward of the LIMWA, the limit of modern wave action line, that the foundation needs to be designed to VE standards, which is breakaway walls and piers and so forth. And I quickly sent that to the architect, and they did send back today revised plans which indicate that, I mean, these aren't obviously building permit level plans, but they did indicate that this would be piers and panels. And there was also a raised planter on the side over here that the DEP commented on removing, and they did actually remove it. What they did do is they changed the spacing on the steps a little bit so that there was a landing here, and I can show it to you on elevation, so that they could put the meter a few steps up the stairs that were already going in, and get rid of that planter. The thought was that you could step up onto that planter to read the electric meter, but they got rid of it as requested and fit it in the stairs, and so you could see that the run of stairs is broken by this landing now, so that so somebody has a place to stand or read the meter. There was also a comment about open fencing, but I think you could see here that it's a slat fence, and so the fence is definitely open already. What's the other comment? Oh, it made a comment about having the bottom of the lowest horizontal member to be at elevation 14, which is the VE 13 plus a foot. We're actually closer to a little over 16, because the finished floor here is up at it's on his plan 17. I think it's 17 and a half, 17.8. So the bottom of the lowest member will be at 16 at least. So we're more than 3 feet above the VE flood zone with the bottom of the structure. So I think we've satisfied all the comments that came out of there. I don't know really what else I could add. It's public water, sewer, and power, and it's just to replace an existing house.
Chuck Anders, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Preddy. I assume that you've sent the revised plans to the staff.
I did send them to Evan today, but it was probably 3 o'clock by the time I got them back from the architect and sent this back. So I don't know if they were distributed or not.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Preddy. Evan, you want to review the staff report with us?
Sure. This is a coastal site plan, like Mr. Preddy described for us, of a single family home. They received variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals to expand structures within the front and side setbacks on February 19th. Other than that, they meet the bulk requirements of the R3 district. They meet the off-street parking requirements. No lighting was submitted, but the same condition has been added to confirm compliance with section 6.7. They have provided erosion control measures. No regrading was proposed as part of this project as well. The commission would need to find that the erosion control measures proposed, to the extent that they are alternatives from the Connecticut Deep 2002 guidelines for soil erosion and sediment control, are acceptable. The applicant satisfies the special exception or the coastal site plan criteria. I had actually left in a finding in the staff report once again, stating that they were compliant with the special exception criteria. I've removed that because this is not a special exception application. The referral from Deep, like Mr. Preddy said, we received the comments back yesterday, and it looks like everything that they had requested has been added to the revised plans. Staff recommends the following findings. One, that the coastal site plan is consistent with the goals and policies of the Coastal Area Management Act. And then the following conditions: prior to the start of construction, erosion control measures shall be installed by a zoning enforcement officer, and as may be directed by the zoning enforcement officer, necessary measures to control dust generated by fill brought into the site or movement of the earth material on site shall be implemented, and that any lighting has to be compliant with section 6.7.
Chuck Cannister, thank you, Evan. And I assume you received the revised architectural plans and confirmed that those changes were made.
We did, and we just asked that one hard copy be brought to the department whenever they can.
Questions, comments from commission members or staff? Hearing none, then I think Evan, do you want to pull up your proposed finding and condition for this one? Okay, I think it appears that the applicant both complies with the zoning regulations and the criteria of the Coastal Area Management Act. With the I think the deep comments have been addressed and confirmed by our staff. So I think this looks ripe for a decision, which I think we have to make anyway. So Evan, I think you reviewed that with us. So does again, it's the finding in the two conditions that Evan reviewed with us. And unless someone has any comments, or someone will make a motion to approve this application by adopting the finding and the conditions again in the staff report that is again presently projected on the screen in front of us.
Chadwick makes that motion.
Motion approved by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Fred Russo will second that.
Second by Fred. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick,
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo,
Fred Russo's in favor.
Marcy,
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo,
Massimo's in favor.
and Chair is also in favor. So application's approved. Thank you, Mr. Preddy.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You
You too.
That brings us then going down to our agenda. And the next item is Brantford Real Estate LLC. This is special exception for used car sales dealership, 544 and 558 West Main Street. I believe that will be scheduled for a public hearing. We need a public hearing on that, and it'll be scheduled in the future, probably our January 4th meeting. Does that sound right, Harry?
Harry Smith, Town Planner, yes. I'm assuming per previous motion of the commission, there was no disagreement to leaving the scheduling the public hearing to the chair and myself, depending on when the application's more complete.
Sure. That brings us into new business. Item number one is 1064 Main Street LLC for 1032-64 Main Street, special exception for limited retail. And I guess that application has been received, and likely we'll schedule. We need a public hearing on that. Do we need a public hearing on this one?
We do, as well as new business items 2 and 3, and all 3 of them are scheduled for the commission's next meeting on the 7th of December.
Great, thank you, Harry. So items number 1, 2, and 3 will have a public hearing scheduled for our next meeting on December 7th. So looking at the next one would be item number 4, which is CSC Montoya Apartments. And this is a site plan modification for additional parking. And I understand that this is something that also came in relatively recently. We may be able to consider, may not need a public hearing, but we'll see. We'll just table this one and see where it is at our December 7th meeting. Is that correct?
Harry Smith Town Planner, a little more complicated than that. Came in as a minor, and I've been going back and forth with the applicants. We're just about to the point where it can be approved, I believe, as a minor, but I can't deny minor site plan modifications. So I put it on the agenda in case the applicant did not give a time extension to take it to the next meeting of the commission on the 7th of December. So at this point, I expect it will probably have the revised plans, and I'll probably have approved it by the meeting in December. If not, I'll bring it back to you again. But at this point, it involves, just so you know, adding some parking spaces along one of the drives in the Montoya apartment complex, intermingled between 3 pretty mature Zelkova trees that were planted back when the thing was built, I think in the 70s or 80s. So they're pretty mature now, and trying to get them to remove the parking spaces from underneath the canopy of the tree. So we've been back and forth. They wanted to put notes on the plan. I had the contractor worry about it, and I thought that was really not appropriate. So I'm going out and measure the canopies, and we're going back and forth, and I think we're just about there.
Great. And they did grant the extension?
They did grant the extension.
Okay, so we'll just table this item. So
yeah.
Okay, and item number 5, again, that looks like a special exception for grading that will require a public hearing. So I guess we'll schedule that when we have the opportunity. Is that right?
Yeah, that came in really recently, I believe.
Okay, so that one we'll schedule that one for a public hearing probably in January at this point. Okay, that brings us into other business. We have an 824 referral for the Brantford Police Headquarters renovation and expansion. Do we have someone?
We do. Harry Smith Town Planner, just quickly, I did not get the brief letter requesting an 824 review from for Selectman James Cosgrove into your packet, so I apologize. I do have the letter. I was going to scan it so I could put it on the screen, but our copier is down. I can't scan it, so I will just simply read it to you. It's addressed to the chair. This is Dear Chairman Andres, pursuant to CGS Section 8-24. Please consider this letter as a referral for consideration of the proposed renovation and expansion project at Brantford Police Headquarters at the next planning and zoning meeting. Thank you for the consideration. Very truly yours, James B. Cosgrove, First Selectman. I do have Deputy Chief Alves here on the phone call, and we'll turn it over to him to explain the project. I do also have plans I can put on the screen. I'll just do that if Deputy Chief Alves wants me to do that, or the commissioner members want to see the graphic of it. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief Alves, which I'm going to make you a co-host. Hang on 1 second, so you'll be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. It's Deputy Chief John Alves from the Police Department. Just a brief overview of the project that we've been working on at the Police Department, 33 Laurel Street. Basically, our building is a 1994 new build in 1994, so we're hitting the 30-year mark on that building. So there was some major maintenance issues that we had to address. First, we've had an ongoing water intrusion issue and high moisture content in the lower level of the building. So in 2019, the town hired Hoffman Architects to investigate the slab moisture content, and they produced a report for remediation in March of 2020. What that report said was that the vapor content coming through the slab was excessively high, and it was too high for the products on the floor. So they gave us a recommendation to mitigate the moisture coming through. It involved pulling up all the floor throughout the lower level, shot blasting it down, and proper barriers to be applied. Additionally, we had like a large crack in the foundation of the building that was allowing water intrusion and flooding during heavy rains. Around that time, also, our own assessment of the building, we knew that our cell blocks were out of date. They needed to be upgraded. We had too many for the footprint of the building. So we needed the square footage. So additionally, our female workforce has been growing and they're outpacing the space that we have available for female locker rooms. So they're soon to have grown out of that space. So all these things brought us to look at this project as a major renovation. Additionally, we have a leaky roof, so we're due for a roof replacement. Our windows, they're original to the building, rotted in certain windows and in need of replacement. Along with our generator, it's at the end of its useful life. Our elevator, the same. Our HVAC, it's not balanced well. It's not properly heating and cooling the building. And there's some space that did not have efficient sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Just efficient use. So basically, looking at our space for future needs, we had to reallocate space on our main level. We've grown, over the past 30 years, the PD's grown. There's been different people working within our building. We have a social worker now, for example, some IT working in our building. So we lack space. We needed to reallocate some space needs. On the site work itself, we have some site work needs. We have inadequate parking at the front of the building for the amount of people and traffic that come into the building. It causes a lot of times elderly people to park in the back lot. They have to walk up the hill to get inside. That's a problem. We also have needs for increased security at the rear of the building. We've had some different issues over the past years that we have to increase security and control public movement through the back of the building, which right now is uncontrolled. So in October of 21, we hired architect Brian Humes of Jakunski Humes to perform a feasibility study. He performed a facility assessment, schematic design, some cost estimating services, completed that study in June of 2022. So our major focus through this point was to rectify the major issues within the building, address the future needs of the agency. The solution proposed addresses all these issues for the town. And basically some of the issues were being addressed through smaller capital projects, but the vision was to address all the issues on one large project. So that's kind of the point where we're at this stage of the project.
Chuck Ennis here. Thank you, Deputy Chief Alex.
Harry Smith, Town Planner. I was trying to, I don't know if I'm sharing my screen correctly. Can people see the site layout?
Yes.
Okay. So as was mentioned, adding parking spaces in front along Laurel. And I understand there'll be some gates put in to sort of limit the public access to the rear of the building, if you will, by the community dining room.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So there'll be a reworking of the parking layout. And I think this is proposed, I understand, for the town engineer to meet the requirements in the zoning regulations in terms of size of spaces and with the maneuvering aisles and that kind of thing. The only comment I had as staff is, I don't know if you can see my cursor. This is the existing driveway in, which is a little further away from this tree here, which is pretty large. I can show you a Google map of it if you're not familiar. I'm going to stop my screen and just pop this up if I can. So hopefully you can see this shot. So there's the existing driveway, and this is a pretty mature, a little different angle here. I believe it's an elm tree, and I think there are a couple on the other side, the library side of the street. So the driveway, I think it's proposed, would kind of come straight through here, pretty close to the trunk of the tree and the roots, into the root zone, which is, I mean, it's a pretty extensive canopy. So I guess my comment is I'm wondering if, and I'm going to go back to the other, actually, I think the other driveway would be down here, would be probably outside of the drip line of this other elm tree. So these are pretty rare, fully mature elm trees, of course. But let me go back to the other plan and just. Okay, so everybody should be able to see this. I don't know if it's possible to either keep part of the existing driveway and still make the turn. Maybe alternatively, could the other swapping the direction of flow, the traffic could be explored so that you could have it going in this way and you could change the angle of the parking spaces and still get all of them in there and take a little bit of this access road since you really don't need the whole width of it and not add pavement closer to the tree to preserve the roots there. Hopefully something could be worked out to not impact that tree any more than necessary if it needs to be impacted at all. That's the only comment I had about it. So
Check in to share. Thank you, Harry. And Harry, this is an 824 referral, so presumably
Right.
if we would get a site plan application at some point or what?
There would have to be. I would not this extensive sort of reworking, and I'll go down here. This is the proposed. So you can see it's I think they're really reworking the entire layout of where people park over here, and it's probably beyond the minor site plan amendment. I mean, you folks can tell me, but I'm happy to do it either way. But it seems pretty extensive.
Okay, well, but in any event, what we're doing now is just making a recommendation from wearing our planning hat that this is consistent with our overall planning goals as reflected in the plan of conservation development and other good planning practices.
Yeah, exactly.
Not so much necessarily the site itself, although I thought you made a great point on the tree. Any questions, comments from any members of the commission? Okay, then I think we're at a point. I think that would be helpful exploring that, just to doing what we can to try to, that seemed like a very nice tree. It doesn't seem in danger of dying or anything. So if we can keep it alive, that would be great. So understand that no other questions, comments by commission members or staff? Then does someone want to make a positive 824 recommendation of finding that the proposal is consistent with our plan of conservation development and sound planning practices, and we can decide later about the site plan, but just that the motion would be to make a positive 824 referral for this proposal change to the police headquarters.
Fred Russo, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fred. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second, Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo.
Fred Russo is in favor.
Marcy.
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo.
Massimo's in favor.
And Chair is also in favor. Thank you, Deputy Chief Alves. We appreciate your work, and looks like you get an upgrade. So that's look forward to that.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
So the next one is the approval of the 2024 meeting schedule. I want to review that with us, Harry.
Sure, Harry Smith, Town Planner. You should have this in your packet. Just a couple of highlights. It's pretty much the first and third Thursdays, with the exceptions of the month of July. And typically in July, you have one meeting. I take that back, 2 meetings. But our first meeting of the month is on July 4th itself. So that's a little problematic. So at this point, rather than come up with a second regular meeting for the month, I just simply left it as the second meeting, July 18th, on the schedule. And if we need a second meeting, could schedule a special meeting. Again, no meetings in August is typical. In October 3rd, I believe is Yom Kippur. And in the past, we did check with a rabbi, I believe, and the holiday ends at sundown on the 3rd. So if we wait to 8 p.m. to open the meeting, excuse me, that would not interfere with the holidays, my understanding. That's what we've done in the past. So the 17th meeting would be regular 7 p.m. And then the meeting on the first meeting in December and the only meeting in December is usually the first Thursday of the month. In 2024, that would be the week after Thanksgiving. So we have basically 3 weeks to prepare packet, and that would also leave a pretty large gap between the meeting in December and the first meeting in January of 2025, if you want to think that far ahead. So we thought about possibly having the meeting on the 12th, but the Inland Wetlands Agency has their meeting on the 12th, and usually they're live on BCTV. And there's a little bit of grumbling when P&Z is basically preempted in the wetlands live on BCTV, and we just don't want to conflict with it. So we threw it on here as the 19th, which, is the week before Christmas. So I'll leave it to you folks how you want to do it. And if there's any other idea how to schedule it, let me know. But that's what we're proposing so far. So let us know what you think.
What do people think? Check in to share. It's looks like the issue is for the December meeting. It's December 19th. Good.
Fred Russo, my opinion is I think the schedule is good as it is. In the past, when there was a need for a special meeting, some way, somehow we found a way to do it. So I would just say we should accept the schedule as it is, the meeting dates, and if there's a need for a special meeting or additional meeting, let's just call it. We've done it in the past.
Thank you, Fred. That sounds good to me. Other questions or comments from anyone? If not, then someone make a motion to approve the proposed 2024 meeting dates.
Bruce will make that motion.
Motion made to approve that meeting date schedule by Fred. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second by Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo.
Fred Russo's in favor.
Marcy.
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo.
Massimo's in favor.
And Chair is also in favor. So the next item we have is the bond release for 22 and 26 Hammer Place.
Harry Smith, Town Planner. I have a memorandum from Jay Mellis, the zoning enforcement officer, regarding the bond release. And she states she has inspected the properties at 22 and 26 Hammer Place in response for request for return of the bond, which was submitted regarding driveway aprons. She's confirming the required work was done and is recommending return of the bond in the amount of $500 to Fisher Excavating Incorporated.
Thank you, Harry. Someone make a motion that we release the $500 driveway bond in accordance with the recommendation by the zoning enforcement officer.
Chadwick makes that motion.
Motion by Joe Chadwick. Is there a second?
Fred Russo will second it.
Second by Fred. Any further discussion? All in favor? Joe Chadwick.
Joe Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo.
Fred Russo in favor.
Marcy.
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo.
Massimo's in favor.
And Chair is also in favor. Brings us into item number 4, which is our planner's report. So what do you have for us?
Well, I have gotten back to working on you may recall, I think I mentioned a couple meetings ago, we're trying in-house here to develop a list of issues regarding the zoning regulations and things, we kind of categorically call them housekeeping items, and some go beyond that, that have crept up over the years. Some are changes that need to be made to comply with state statutes. So we have some of these already in the form of, if it's been a thing that definitely needs to be done, we've kind of put like the text in, and this is a work in progress. I haven't finished it yet, but we're going to hopefully come to the commission. We wanted to do this hopefully by the end of the year. So we were contemplating a potential special meeting in December squeezing it in before Christmas, possibly. I would think we may not get through the whole thing. We'll try to prioritize them because, frankly, we may not be able to, have enough staff time to deal with all of these. We probably have got at least well over a dozen issues on it already. So we're looking at a date of the 14th of December. Wanted to see if that worked for folks.
Yeah, we have a regional planning commission meeting that day, but that'll be done by 7. So,
Okay.
So the agenda would be just for you to review. Obviously, we're not amending anything, just to go through the list. We want to amend these regulations and go through the list with you.
Yeah, we would like some direction so we can get an idea of, some of these issues. We don't know which way you may want to go, and you give us direction either way, and then we could draft some text accordingly and come back with post set of amendments
Okay.
For you to put together as a package to actually be adopted.
What do you have an expectation as the meeting length? Just
I think 2 hours max would be my guess.
okay. So that's the question. Do people are available December 14th? That's a Thursday for 2 hours max, starting at 7 p.m. to review possible amendments to the regulations. I don't know, folks. Fred?
I'll speak up first. I'll be available.
Okay, Fred. Joe Chadwick?
I will be available, and anything that could be sent out in advance to read up on would be appreciated.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a document to send out well in advance.
Great. Marcy?
I can try, but I can't commit at this moment.
Okay. Massimo?
I'll be available on the 14th.
Okay, yeah. And I'll be available. So you can that'll be sorry. We have a meeting before then. We have a meeting on the 7th before then. So we will finalize that then, I guess. What else you got for us?
On a slightly different note, I've been talking with former Commissioner John Lust, and I know the commission members, many or most of you got together for sort of a summer get-together at Stony Creek Brewery. I think it was last year, or was it maybe the year before that? Goes pretty fast. And we talked about, he and I about coming back and trying to talk to the commission about doing it. And one thing, led to another, and we never really got to it at the end of the season, the summer. So I was thinking maybe before the holidays, throw the idea of getting together out to the commission, see what you thought of it. A possible date could be Friday, December 1st, which is the week after Thanksgiving, coming up pretty quick. We thought something informal, maybe just getting together at one of the breweries and bring a couple of pizzas or something, and whoever showed up, and we'd extend invitation to previous members of the commission and so forth, like we did before. And particularly since we don't get to see each other in person much. So I just stop there and see what everyone thinks.
Great. Thanks, Harry. I think it would be nice. We particularly because we don't meet in person. And do you people really exist, or are you just phantoms on a screen? So I see Joe walking his dog, but I can verify that. But I don't know about the rest of you people. So, Fred, what do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
Great. Joe Chadwick? Joe?
What's better than beer and pizza? Except beer and pizza with friends.
Right.
And ice cream.
Right. Marcy?
Sure, sounds good.
Great. Massimo?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know how the date he mentioned Friday, December 1st. I know it's Friday. People may have commitments, whatever, but it's probably a good time as well if you are available. Probably wouldn't be that long. It wouldn't last. I'd be 1 to 2 hours, was I would think.
Yeah. And I don't know if we could make it 5:30, 5, 6 o'clock. I don't know everybody's availability. I mean, Anybody who's working out of town, if you need to be 6, let us know.
What do people, I'll be around, I could make any time. What about the rest of you folks?
I'm good.
I can make 6 o'clock. I work till 6, so that would be a good time.
Okay.
6.
6 it is. We'll look for a venue and let everyone know.
Okay. That's great. Anything else for planners report, Harry?
The only thing I've got is we sort of skipped over correspondence, so I'll take the liberty of just saying we've got a communication regarding a cell tower, of course, from Robinson and Cole. This is at 723 Leeds Island Road, and they are proposing to install some, I guess they call it point-to-point microwave dish antennas, and I believe that is to communicate with other shelter-mounted dish antennae installed at opposite ends. This is sort of an internal communication network, I understand, in the system. So if anybody wants some more information on that, we've got it. Let us know. And that's all I've got. I don't know, Evan, if there's anything else.
We do have elections. I think that's next meeting, right?
Yes.
And Massimo, do you got anything? I know you were checking people out, so
I did get in touch with everybody. I mean, if you want to wait for the results for next meeting, that'd be great. Or I think I got the results are in.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can not keep us waiting, and so it'll be, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll put the elections on the agenda. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, should I go forward, move forward, or do you want to wait till the next?
No, why don't you say who the slate is? We'll vote at the next meeting, but I don't know. We may have a competitive vote here, and I know Massimo. You'd be chair for right.
It was. I had the rest of the commission. They were outside my house with signs. They want me to run for chair. I felt a little bad, and I thought maybe I should just, I love the job that you do, Chuck. So I was thinking, just keep it in your hands. You know what I mean? This time around, okay? Yeah. The commission was very clear and very happy, and they were all on the same page that I was. Everybody was on the same page. Fred and Chuck, we all feel are doing an incredible job, and we hope that you guys continue with your service.
So the existing slate would continue. That would
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's helpful.
So we'll put that on as a formal item, the election for December 7th meeting.
Great. Thanks, Massimo.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Harry, or anybody else?
Chuck, I have one thing.
Sure.
I attended voluntarily another SCROD meeting this past week, and it was again about affordable housing. Yes. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm really impressed by this group. Sometimes you hear of state, committees, organizations. They just kind of go round and round. But these people are pretty much on top of what's going on. And I'll tell you, every time I've attended a meeting, it's my second formal meeting, and I went on that bus trip, I learned so much more just listening to them talk. They have some very, very good ideas. And, I think one of the things that they acknowledged was, that whole stigma of affordable housing. They just have to do a better job in the way they publicize what it really means. And I think that's really important for all of us as commissioners to know that, because it's easy to jump on a bandwagon about something that you're not as well versed in, but also it's always changing. And they're, I think the word that they used, I thought was kind of important, was that the changes are incremental. They're not going to, do some major change of regulations in one fell swoop. But I think they basically admitted that, they're going step by step when enough information comes their way, and they get it out to the people like ourselves. So my point is that if anybody has a luxury of being able to attend the SCROG meeting, they're generally at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I know people working, it's not easy. I'm not sure whether or not they do the like we do here, BCTV, you can, look it up and hear it. But I would just say this, they're worth listening to. A lot of the misinformation that you might have in your mind about what it is, how things are done, you'll get a much clearer view of it. And I think when that happens, we as commissioners do a much better job serving the public. So I just wanted to say that.
Thanks, Fred. How was the road trip? I mean, I had one of the stops was Brantford, and you went to a few other places. And
well, let me say this. Let me start out with the lunch. The lunch was very, very good. I thought they were very generous in what they brought. It wasn't a little chintzy lunch. It was very good. But once we got on the bus, what they did? They didn't overwhelm anybody, but they would give you a sort of a background where we were going next. We went to, I think, 4 different places. 2 in Wallingford, 2 in Milford. And, I would just say this, because they asked for comments later with an email. My only comment was, I would like to see, the 4 that they picked, I would assume they cherry picked them, because they were beautiful complexes. I mean, they look like better than some of the stuff that's built, just without affordable housing. The designs and I thought what really reinforced everything was the fact that developers were at the property, and so it wasn't Scrod saying, "Look at what a great job we've done with the regs." Whereas zoning, there was actual contractors and developers saying, "Listen, I had a lot that was 3 acres, and I could put 3 houses on it. I got 34 acres, but if you look at the way it was designed, it was laid out, the parking, I thought they did a good job." And it was my impression that the state was subsidizing people who couldn't afford to pay whatever that full rent would be. It's just the opposite. What happens is the regulations, allows a developer to put up more units, more concentrated units, and it's the developer who not takes a hit, but he ends up subsidizing the affordable housing units. But instead of having 3 units on the lot, he's got 34 units on the lot, so he can spread whatever reduced rents he's got for that 10% or 50%, whatever the number is. They can spread it over a larger number of rents, and in the end, it works out well. And I think one of the things that could really throw a fine ointment is all these high interest rates. It's going to make it very difficult for builders to go in and look to buy the land. The materials are off the page, and that could put a serious flying ointment. The only upside I could see is that it might make them look at other types of units that are not presently on line and say, listen, we're going to allow those to also, there's a lot of natural occurring units, as we know, right there in Brantford. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but they talked about it. And one last thing, then I'll let everybody go. I thought something that I never thought about. One of the comments one of the commentators made was, each town, he was talking about Brantford, obviously, but each town has a land trust. And he said, that they might be, asked to look at that land and say, is there a piece of land? Now, it's not going to be 20 acres, it might be 2 or 3 acres. And can we develop it? Is it an area where the land is available? There's no environmental issues, any of that business, health issues. It's possible that might be potential locations. So I just thought that the group of people that are there are thinking about the issues that they're. It's just not like, hey, we're a commission, and we're gonna lay a bunch of rules and regulations on. These people were dead serious about what they were doing. I was really, as I said last week, I was very impressed by it, and I will make sure the next time there's another meeting, it's not going to be one in December because of the holidays and stuff they said, but there'll be another meeting in January, and I would just recommend if anybody has, I said, the luxury of being able to turn on a Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock from 1 to 2:30, they're really, really informative. So I'm a believer. That's what I can tell you.
Thanks, Fred. I know that SCROG, there's the regional planning commission component of SCROG. Ben Lovejoy is the main staff person there now. And that's something, I've been the representative. Each town from the region sends someone. I've been Brantford's representative since about 2000. And
Oh, wow.
right now, I'm actually the chair of it. Yeah, and
Who
so
knew?
but that's the regional planning commission. We meet once a month. They get the
Yeah.
referrals from of zoning amendments, zoning text amendments. So it's but that's different. I mean, the educational stuff you're talking about was sort of in addition to and above that.
Yes.
Both the
I used to say, Chuck, it's the real deal there. You know,
Yeah.
there
No,
may be some boondoggle agencies, but I don't think that's one of them.
yeah, you had some good players. I know David Fink is big on that, and there's you had some real helpful stuff, and even the reading the site plan stuff he did. So
Yeah,
they've had some new people in there, and that's moving along, and they get some money there too. I mean, that's
yes. Yeah, it's interesting to be part of it. You're sitting at your computer listening to it, but it's like eavesdropping on a meeting, and because they generally don't open up. They run out of time just with their own talks, but so they generally don't open up to the public. But I would tell you something. I look at the peripheral things. When I got there, I usually get there early, like I do with these meetings, and you look at the number of people that joined the meeting throughout that hour and a half. It goes from 3 or 4 or 5 up to 20, 25 people. I think that's really, really great. So I'm going to make sure that I'm there in January to listen to another one of these meetings. I learned so much more than just reading it off of a regulation. You don't get the heart of it. These people really put legs underneath the regulations so you understand what they're talking about. So I think it's a good experience. It'll continue to be a good experience. And I will, whether I get credited for it or not, it's irrelevant, quite honestly. I will be attending those meetings just so I can better my knowledge of what it is we talk about at these meetings.
Yeah, the council, yeah. I mean, there's the regional planning commission, which is just something else, but there's the overall council of government, which are the first selectmen, when that component of it, which, obviously I'm not a part of that one. But typically they have a former chief elected official. I think it's Carl. It used to be Judy Cobb. I mean, she was first selectman in Brantford, and then she was the main person for many years. So. Anyone else got anything?
I want to second that on what Fred said, though. I attended that education event, and I didn't go on the bus trip, but I will say, I wish there was a way that it could affordable housing, what it really means, to the community. I wish there was a way we could put that out there to the public, so everybody would understand. After I got educated, as I've been getting educated on affordable housing and realizing what it truly is, it's really beneficial for it's really beneficial to know exactly what it's all about. And I think it's really important if there was a certain way we could get it out there to the public, even in a certain article, in the newspapers. It would be so nice because, the facts are, when people hear that, they're totally against it. And I understand why, because not many people are educated on it. And once you do get educated on it, it makes a huge difference. So I really enjoyed that education event that I went to. I think Fred was online, and I was there with Joe Vayuso. It was I learned a lot there, and I wouldn't mind going to more of these events.
And I think the one you went to it was streamed and it's available. You can watch it. It was recorded. I think it's available on the COG website. I was told that. I haven't. I don't know, Harry, if you know. I'm pretty sure it is though.
Yeah, Harrison Town Planner. It is, and I just want to point out that the town does have an affordable housing plan that put together. I think it was 3 years ago now. So there were public meetings then, but I think we've had a workshop since then with David Fink. We did a public meeting and workshop after that. But I agree. I think you could do a little more public outreach and look at ways to do that. And I've talked about trying to, there was a steering committee for the affordable housing plan. And, maybe we can take any interested members of that group and any interested commission members and try to put some kind of working group together. I already talked to Jamie Cosgrove about it, and I think it would be a good thing to do and try to dovetail into the efforts of SCROG. And I have attended a few of those meetings, but frankly, it's difficult to dedicate the time to it recently. So I'll report back on some of that next year.
Well, where we're going to see it probably soon is when we'll PDD proposals for the Regal site and the opposite Walmart site. Remember, people want to put. I mean, to me, that's where you do it. You have a higher density housing proposal, and that's, you know, Fred, you talked about the trade-off as opposed to something little, but you want a high density. The trade-off, I want you to set aside some of the affordable. And obviously, you've heard me. I push that because that to me, that's the trade-off, and I think it's doable. So anyway.
And you know,
Chuck, you're right. You're right about that. That's what people don't know. That's why we I think as a town have to better educate our people that the trade-off isn't the perception of people pay the rent as to those who don't pay the rent. Some of these people are paying the affordable rate is higher than other people paying for their mortgages on their houses today.
Right? Yeah.
They're not getting a
one
free
bedroom for $1,100 versus $1,400 or something. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's still a lot of money. Yeah,
it is.
And you know, there are a lot of tools out there. The question is, what kind of tools would the town want to use? So, you know, Guilford's actually looking at something called inclusionary housing, so requiring a certain set aside of affordable units in each multifamily development, is my understanding. That hasn't, I don't think, been completely formalized there, but I'm trying to track that as I can. And I think as one of the issues in this zoning regulation issue list, that would definitely be, what do you want to do, if anything, about sort of codifying the approach you folks have been taking, which is sort of, you know, as a PDD comes in, trying to raise the question of, well, how much affordable housing? Well, should it be a definite percent? What should it be? I mean, if it can be more predictable for developers, it might be better. But I think, probably all want to walk around the issue and see what the options are and see what everyone wants to do. So definitely that will be part of, you know, that whole list of issues that's on there.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Anyone else got anything else? Then does someone make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn. Fred Russo makes that motion to adjourn.
Motion by Fred to adjourn. Is there a second?
Chadwick seconds.
Second, Joe Chadwick. Any further discussion? All in favor, Joe Chadwick.
Chadwick is in favor.
Fred Russo.
Fred Russo's in favor.
Marcy.
Marcy's in favor.
Massimo.
Massimo in favor.
The chair is also in favor. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Okay,
Good
take
night.
care, folks.
Great. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Brantford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BrantfordTV.org.